Welcome to Clothesline Theatre. We have been waiting for you to tune in to hear tales of Prince Edward Island, a place of history and some mystery. You may be surprised by the true stories that have been unearthed and brought to life by our radio dramas. We invite you to settle into a comfortable chair and let the voices and sounds trigger your imagination as you hear the following dramatic story.
The Northumberland Strait separates Prince Edward Island from the mainland of Canada. The promise of a continuous travel connection to the mainland was one of the conditions of the island joining Canadian Confederation in 1873, and a number of steam ferry routes were experimented with over the decades. The Borden, PEI, and Cape Tormentine, New Brunswick ferry service became the primary crossing site in 1917. In June of 1941, a second steam ferry service was launched between Wood Islands, PEI, and Caribou NS to serve the eastern and central parts of the island. It cut off many miles of travel for people heading to those destinations. While the newly established ferry service was much appreciated, it quickly found itself criticized for an unusual occurrence.
A little more. Stop. There, that's good. Set your emergency brakes, Scotty. If she ever lets go, the old car will go right out the back.
Well, she's a bit tight, but thanks for squeezing me on.
We really shouldn't have, but I figured as it is, the cows would be waiting at the barn door for you, let alone you having to wait for another crossing.
Well, thanks, boys. Now, where's all this traffic coming from? I never expected the Wood Island Ferry to be this busy in mid-September.
We're not complaining. It's great for our first season. This is a high number of island cars on board, as well as ones from Ontario, Quebec, and Nova Scotia. But is there something going on this weekend that we haven't heard about?
Well, I haven't heard of anything that would bring tourists to the island at this time of the year.
A lot of the cars have young couples. Maybe it's their last holiday before some of the boys enlist for the war.
Well, it's only been 21 years since the Great War. We can't afford to be losing any more of our young men from this country.
Who else is going to stop Hitler? We can't sit back and let him keep coming down, can we?
Who said it had to be our war anyway?
I never thought it could be so exciting to be aboard a ferry boat, Pierre, but I am thankful the swell is not any bigger. I feel a little unsteady.
You won't get your sea legs on this short a voyage. It was a brilliant idea that you had, Marie, to come to Prince Edward Island for a honeymoon. I hope we soon see our first glimpse of the million-acre farm.
Do you think the soil is really red?
That's what it said in our geography book. It apparently has to do with the iron content.
I wonder if it will look funny to us coming from Montreal.
I can hardly wait to get a good night's sleep at our hotel in Charlottetown and then start touring tomorrow.
I'm glad we caught this crossing, Gracie. It would appear we'll catch our first sighting of the island as the sun goes down.
I feel a bit concerned, George. We're awfully late. It means we might have to travel after dark. On the map, Charlottetown looks a fair distance from Wood Islands.
The car has headlights and it's only 37 miles.
I'm pretty sure the roads will not be like we're used to in Toronto. I don't know why you had to make a long visit to long-lost relatives this time of year.
It's only September, Gracie, not the middle of winter. Just relax and try to enjoy the change of scenery.
I would be relaxed if I was at our club in Toronto, not on my way to some outback village.
I hardly think that's a fair description of Charlottetown.
We'll see.
Just enjoy the wind in your hair, Gracie, and breathe in that wonderful salt air.
Look, Martha, the island is coming into view. I've done this trip 100 times, but it still stirs me to see the red cliffs.
Even though it's mid-September, the fields are still green. Oh, look at the gold color of the grain fields. PEI is such a paradise.
Yes, it certainly is different from Nova Scotia, with all its rocks and trees.
But each has its own charm. I'm so looking forward to this time away with you, Stanley.
As the steam ferry made the 75-minute crossing of the Northumberland Strait, the workday was coming to a close for a weary road construction crew near the community of Vernon Bridge. They had been working for some days on a long stretch of roadway in a low section of country that proved to be a perfect quagmire. It was the road between Wood Islands and the capital of Charlottetown.
I think we finally have this section built up enough to make it passable. I was starting to doubt that we could get it done.
We hauled one whack of fill into that slough just to watch it sink into the mud. Thank heavens for modern construction equipment that saved our backs. Leroy, make sure the detour signs are in place before we knock off.
Never mind with them tonight. I say the road is perfectly passable. It will cut a lot of time off people's travel.
They'll like that, especially any visitors coming over on the ferry and not familiar with the back roads. The weight of the traffic will help pack the road a bit more.
Passengers, please return to your vehicles in preparation for unloading. Welcome to Wood Islands. For those of you coming home, welcome back. And for those of you visiting, welcome to our beautiful island.
See you around, Scotty. Good luck with the harvest.
As the cars rolled off the ferry decks, at least 3 of them turned west in the direction of Charlottetown. The tourists who occupied them were blissfully unaware of road construction. As they traveled, the sun sank behind the horizon, giving way to the darkness of night, which was compounded by cloud cover that blocked the light of the moon and stars. It commenced to rain. From a moderate shower, it graduated to a sustained downpour.
George, can you see at all? The rain is hitting the windshield in torrents.
It's really difficult. The wipers can't keep clear of the water. I've never driven in rain like this.
I'm scared. I think you should pull over till it passes.
Look, I'll reduce the speed. Relax, Gracie, and just let me do the driving.
Can you see in the darkness, Pierre?
Nothing beyond the beam of the headlights, which seems tonight a short distance.
I didn't expect the roads to be so narrow.
I didn't expect it to be so circuitous.
They must have followed the original cow path.
I was expecting it to be paved. I never thought about construction. We are seeing the red clay firsthand and up close.
It's not good, Martha. The clay is turning into a gummy mess thanks to this downpour. I wonder how long the construction zone goes.
You think they might have mentioned this on the ferry? Surely there was a paved detour we could have taken.
George, you need to slow down. I can feel the car sliding in the mud.
Stop trying to drive from the passenger seat, Gracie, and let me concentrate on getting through this mess. No, no, no!
We're stuck solid, aren't we, George? Do you believe my description of the place now?
The road crew had made a terrible mistake. The rain had quickly turned the unpaved construction zone into a horrible mass of mud, and the cars attempting to cross it were suddenly embedded to their running boards and stuck fast.
Yeah, don't hit the car ahead of us.
Not much chance, Marie. We're sinking in the mud.
Oh no, those cars ahead are stuck. I can't get around them.
And now we're stuck too. And the car behind us, and the car behind it. Wonderful. What can we do?
Try rocking the car back and forth, Pierre, to see if it will break free.
It's pointless. We are snared like flies on a sheet of stickum paper.
We're going to have to try and push the cars out.
George, you are not getting out of this car and into that mud with your good suit and shoes.
What else do you suggest, Gracie? That I grow wings and fly over it?
One by one, the men exited the bogged cars, and yes, even some of the women got out to help.
Oh, my going outfit is going to be ruined. It's soaked and stained. My mother worked so hard to make it for me.
The positive is that you will be able to show everyone at home the red island clay.
The way I see it, there's not much sense trying to push the front cars ahead. We have no idea how far it'll be before there's firm ground. We need to push the last cars in line back onto the firm road and work our way to the front cars.
Sounds like a plan.
As the rain poured down, the trapped travelers struggled against the mud and achieved success. The last two cars to become stuck were pushed from the muddy expanse, and no doubt the air was filled with sounds of triumph. It was short-lived. The escaped cars disappeared into the gloom to seek a more feasible route to their destination.
Can you believe that? We got them out, and they just left us here, stuck solid.
Did anyone see their license plates? I thought Islanders were supposed to be really friendly and helpful.
Let's stop standing here shooting the breeze. We need to get our own cars out.
Gracie, get out and help us now.
Only if you promise to replace my shoes with the very best that Eatons carry. Make it a suit too, George. It's only September. My foot.
The remaining three cars were hopelessly bogged, and the occupants, after floundering around for some time in the deep mire in the intense darkness and rain, gave up endeavoring to find means of getting their cars underway. Failing to see any sign of human help in view, they were resigned to climb with mud-embedded and soaked feet and ruined clothes back into their cars for the night.
Oh, so glad you thought of PEI for a honeymoon, Marie.
September indeed. I don't ever want to hear of your island routes again, George.
Those Nova Scotia rocks are looking mighty good to me right now.
After a long, cold night, the dawn finally arrived, and the bogged-down travelers set out to find the men who operated the road machinery that could now be seen near the side of the road. By 6:30 a.m., the cars were on firm ground, and the occupants were on their way, following the detour that should have been marked for their benefit the night before.
It might be a good idea to put that sign back up tonight.
Yes, sir. I'll see that Leroy puts it in place.
It was fair to say that the visitors were less than enthusiastic in regard to the provision made for tourists coming to Prince Edward Island by the new ferry route. The service was harshly blamed for circumstances outside its knowledge and its control.
I will be so glad to shake the mud of PEI from my shoes. There is no way, George, we are leaving the island by the Wood Islands Caribou Ferry. They made no effort to inform visitors about the road construction.
Yes, they could have done themselves and travelers a favor by communicating that information before we left the boat. It might be extra travel time, but we'll go home the Borden-Cape Tormentine ferry service.
Well, Marie, it will never be said we didn't have a memorable honeymoon.
Let's plan on coming back in our 50th anniversary and see what the roads are like then. I do like the red soil.
Bogged Down in Mud. Cast. Narrator Stuart Smith. Ferryman 1, Jake Surrett. Ferryman 2, Tiber Falzette. Scotty, Wayne Wright. Marie, Lise Genova. Pierre, Jules Aucoin. George, Dan Casely. Gracie, Michelle Askew. Stanley, Jordan Stetson. Martha, Leslie Casely. Foreman, Roger Ahern. Laborer, Jim Dixon. Announcer, Shelley Stetson. Musician, Christine Anderson-Gallant. Sound Foleys, Krista Bryson, Alexandra Gallant, and Nathan Wiley. Recording artist, Peter Gallant. Assistant, Max Gallant. Writers, Marlene Campbell. Researcher and editor, Jean McKay. Production assistant, Sandra Zardi. This drama has been brought to you by Wyatt Heritage Properties Incorporated through the support of the Building Communities through Arts and Heritage Program. Department of Canadian Heritage, the Province of Prince Edward Island, and the City of Summerside.